Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I say good afternoon, everyone. I am Nierenberg. I am president and co-founder of Food Tank. I am so excited to be here in Charlotte for the 10th annual Stop Food Waste Day celebration. Let's give that a round of applause. I also want us to give a round of applause to Of Good Nature. They were an incredible band to kick us off. So hats off to Cam, Zach, and David. They were incredible. Food Tank, alongside our partners at Compass Group, are deeply committed to tackling food loss and food waste. It's an issue at the center of so many challenges we face. And, again, just so excited to be in this city to celebrate this day with all of you. We all know that nearly 1/3 of food globally is wasted each year, but we also know that this can change. That means getting more food to people who need it, cutting greenhouse gas emissions from food waste, and making better use of the resources behind every meal. It also means building more respect for our food and for the people who produce it. What's exciting is that the opportunities to reduce waste are everywhere, in fields, and kitchens, and classrooms, and boardrooms, and in our homes. And all of us really do have a role to play. That's what today is about, celebrating the progress being made and the people driving it. And the progress is real. New data from the organization ReFed shows food waste dropped by 2.2% since the early 2020s. That may sound small, but it's actually very big. In households alone, it's nearly 1 million pounds of food that has been saved. Give that a round of applause, please. And with eaters spending more than $760 per year per person on food that goes to waste every year, this is a huge example of cost savings for a lot of households. And that momentum is coming from all of you, from nonprofits, from businesses, from students, from farmers, from policymakers, and so many others who are thinking differently and pushing solutions forward. Cities around the country are stepping up and joining this movement to end food waste. Mayor Lyles here in Charlotte, along with mayors in Austin, Atlanta, Cleveland, Indianapolis, Seattle, Washington, D.C., Raleigh, and others have officially recognized today, April 29th, 2026, as Stop Food Waste Day. Give that a round of applause. And I'm proud that this company, Compost, that I get to work with, is really leading the way, connecting chefs with tools like Waste Not 2.0 to track and cut waste by up to 45% in kitchens. We'll hear more about that later, but it's really, really exciting. Here in North Carolina, Feeding Charlotte is rescuing surplus food and getting it to neighbors who need it the most. Companies like Mill are helping us rethink food scraps. They're helping us rethink how we think about this term waste, and they're scaling new solutions. NASCAR is working to reduce waste at racetracks, engaging everyone from staff to fans, and I really love what they're doing. And students at Providence Day School in Lansdowne are stepping up as the next generation of food waste warriors. So you'll hear from many of these leaders today as we celebrate what's working. I also want to recognize the incredible nonprofits who are here partnering with us, both in Charlotte and beyond. They're building stronger, more resilient communities. So please join me in recognizing Compass Group, especially Amy Keister, Natalie Walker, and Jesse Hawker for their leadership. Compass launched Stop Food Waste Day a decade ago, and I'm very proud to say that Food Tank has been involved for 7 years with them. So give them a round of applause, please. And thank you to our host, Envision Charlotte, especially Amy Aussieker. The Innovation Barn is such an inspiring space. This is my first time here, and it really is showing what's possible when we can turn waste into an opportunity. So give Amy and Envision Charlotte a round of applause. We have some really fun and dynamic conversations planned, and you can continue those conversations at the reception. It's going to be delicious. You're going to have a lot of fun, so don't leave early, because the food is the best part at the end. It's now my pleasure to turn over the podium to my good friend, Amy Keister, the Global Director of Sustainability at Compass Group, to kick us off. Give her a huge round of applause.
Wow. So 10 years ago, we started with an urgent but simple belief that the way we treat food must change. And I cannot believe that we're here today, 10 years later, celebrating the 10th anniversary of the largest global day of action to combat food waste. So I want to thank Danny and everyone here at Food Tank. As Danny mentioned, 7 years ago, we partnered up. I want to tell you what happened before partnering up, though, with Danny was, and I see a lot of you in the room today, we did what anyone would do to get noticed. We packed our bags, we put our T-shirt on, made our little signs, and went to stand behind the glass wall at the Today Show. So it's amazing what the partnership's been able to bring, something far greater than we've ever believed. I also want to take a minute to recognize the Compass leadership. I'm really excited that we have Gary here. I never thought we'd see him at a sustainability event, and so thank you. And Palmer, you'll hear from, we have Minute, we have Cindy, we have Claire, we have Ed and Kris. And what's been really great is thank you for allowing us to push Compass. Many of you know that Compass is a relatively humble company. We prefer to work quietly behind the scenes, but with your support, we've been able to create a movement that has reached over 250 million people. I also, and to the chefs, this day would not be possible without our chefs. No chef wants to see good food wasted. They fully appreciate and applaud the care, the craft, and the love behind every ingredient. And because of all of our chefs, we are tracking consistently in over 11,000 locations. And to date, if you add up all the food that could have gone to waste, it's over 250 million pounds, which is truly incredible. For me, though, the work is deeply personal. A lot of you know my story if you've been following us on Stop Food Waste Day. But my grandmother was 100 years old when we had the first Stop Food Waste Day and has really been a driving force behind it for me. She grew up during the Great Depression, and she taught me something and showed me something very simple but powerful. Amy, you don't waste food. And we lost her last year, but her lessons continue to go on as through her garden, through the garden I had at home, I learned how to grow, preserve, and value food. And those lessons are what fueled this movement today. I also want to thank my parents. They had an acre of land, and I definitely learned where food came from. I mean, they made the most of that little acre. And my incredible husband and amazing kids who have been with us every step of the way. My husband often says how fortunate I am to do this work for a company that truly cares about people and the planet. He calls it the perfect match, and I couldn't agree more. Woo! Yes. And to my team, those who have been on the team over the past 10 years, this is your day. This is your day. It is your passion, it is your persistence that has created a movement greater than anything we ever imagined. And finally, to our partners, you don't create a movement at this scale alone. We have Michael in the back, who's been with us in the beginning, who always challenges us to think bigger and go bolder. We have Sam, a trusted advisor. Recent partners, such as Amy with the Innovation Barn, this space is amazing, as well as Harry with Mill. We are so excited because with his new technology and AI and this super sleek, sexy food dehydrator, we will finally be able to enter the realm of a circular economy for the food system. It's gonna be amazing. And that's what this day is about. That's why we're here. We're here to come together to take action, to reimagine what's possible. Because this is not just about food waste. It's about what we choose to value. Thank you for being here today.
Woo! Thank you, Amy. Incredible. Amy is truly my food waste heroine, so I'm so glad to be able to work with her. Now we get to have our first fireside chat of the day, and I am very excited to welcome to the stage Palmer Brown, the CEO of Compost Group North America. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you for being here, Palmer. I want to get right into it, and my first question is, why does food waste matter so much for Compost?
Well, first of all, it's great to be here, Danny. Thank you very much. For those of you who don't know a lot about us, we would be the largest contract food service company globally, nationally, and in most places where we operate. Food is what we do. I mean, it is the vast majority of our business. So when you think about it from that perspective, clearly there's an operational component to it, but there's very much of a value component as well. Our food cost as a percentage of our revenue is somewhere around 33%. So it's significant.
Right.
So obviously that the operational financial accountability is big. But equally important is the value aspect of it as well. Food is what we do, from selecting the products to the sourcing to the preparation to the delivery, serving it to our clients and consumers. It is central to what we do. We're very cognizant of all the inputs that go into food,
Right.
the labor, the land, the energy, the impact on the environment
Sure.
that goes into it as well. And by the same token, we know that food insecurity is a big issue. The last data set that I've seen shows about 15% of the population, so roughly 1 in 7 people, deal with food insecurity. So it's for all those reasons and then some that food's important to us. I mean, we operate at thousands of locations. We serve over 14 million meals a day.
Incredible.
So we've gotten to be fairly big. And we know our scale can have an impact, either positively or negatively. We know that people are looking at us. People take leads from what we do.
Right.
And so that's why it's so important that we try to do the right thing. We've emphasized reduction of food waste. I think last year, Amy, it was about 10%, a little over 10% year on year. We've donated over 3 million meals to organizations to help serve those in need. So I think you can see there's just a lot of reasons why. It's just so core to what we do.
It is really core to what you do. On that scale point, can you talk about how you're leveraging partnerships? This will be a theme throughout the day to really scale impact.
I mean, first of all, this is, reduction of food waste is not a destination. I mean, it's a journey. You're never really there.
Right.
You're always looking to progress. One of the big things that I try to talk about is let's not let perfection get in the way of progress. And let's try to get better day after day on this journey. So I think all of us can have a hand in making an impact. But to the extent we can partner together, we can have a bigger impact. So we partner at lots of levels, at the local level with local farmers, with great organizations like Feed Charlotte, at the national level, Food Tank, the Culinary Institute of America, just great advisors like Sam and the like, operate with a number of clients where we partner, Google, Bank of America, and the like. So there's just a lot that's happening. You may have seen some of the recent news where we just partnered with Mill on technology and looking to deploy it in a lot of our units on a go-forward basis, something we're really excited about. So to the extent we can partner, we believe we can have a greater impact.
Yeah, and I think that partnering also sparks creativity, and I think creativity is such a huge part of preventing food waste. Can you talk about what you're seeing at Compost on the creativity front that most excites you right now?
I will, but before I do that, I forgot about one piece, the Bruno Mars concert tonight. Silly me. No, if you're not aware, so we're partnering with Feed Charlotte, the Bruno Mars team, Bank of America Stadium. We're operating a food drive tonight at the concert. 60-some thousand people will be there, probably
incredible.
a lot of you. So look for that, take part. There'll be some good results that come from it.
That's great.
On the creativity piece, look, when we think about what makes us as a company, why are we successful, what are our competitive advantages, scale matters, sectorization matters, but we think that the most important aspect of our company are people. Mm-hmm. And really, when you look at it, our chefs and our wider culinary community, we think, are the heart of the company.
Sure.
There are very few challenges that we face that we can't achieve solutions for, and we believe that our culinary community is central to that. So in something like food waste, we pose the challenge to them. They don't view it as a constraint. They view it as an opportunity. And so they're looking to say, okay, what can we do to help? So first of all, we've got our culinary community involved in all parts of the organization, from sourcing, product selection, our partnerships that are there. And then clearly when you get into the kitchens, there's a lot of creativity, and that's where the chefs are at their best. They're utilizing different techniques and processes to reduce food waste. We've got some technology that we utilize that you referenced earlier, Waste Not and Waste Not 2.0 at this point. And then just the creativity on the uses of just the redeployment of items that are not used. So taking scraps, making it into delicious salads or fish cakes or whatnot. You'll hear from our Chief Culinary Officer, Kris Ivens-Brown, here in a little bit, I think. But he and a lot of our chefs authored a book really focused on how we reduce food waste in our kitchens, focused on our chefs, ideas from our chefs, sharing best practices across the organization.
Yeah, I love that Compass is sharing what you're doing. You're not just keeping it here, you're sharing what you're doing with other companies. One of the things that I think encompasses this creativity sort of mindset is the use of technology and AI in this space. Can you talk about what you're most excited about?
I think just first and foremost, as a concept, technology is an enabler, right? It helps us to do more things, better things more efficiently, different things. Mm-hmm. And really, when you think of technology and food waste, it's no different. It enables us to make a bigger impact. We've invested in our own technology over time, Waste Not and now Waste Not 2.0. For those of you who are not familiar with it, it's a tablet-based system that operates in our units by chefs and those in the food preparation. It tracks food waste. It weighs it, the sources of it, the causes of it, whether it's from overproduction, whether it's from skills gap, maybe it's outdated product, and it provides feedback to our folks as ways to get better. At this point, I think we have it in like 6 languages, operating in over 11,000 units now and growing. So it's something we're very proud of, and it helps us. And then just as we talked about earlier, the partnership with Mill, it's phenomenal technology. If you guys haven't seen it, I'll tell you, we have a Mill unit in our home, and it just enables us to recycle our food scraps, if you will. And first and foremost, it's brilliant. It's clean, it's quiet, and it's really enabled us to have a circular food system within our home. So we utilize our food scraps through the Mill recycler. It tells us when it's full. We have the compost that we put back into the garden. Right. My wife loves to garden. She just tells me what to do, and I try to listen. But it's something that's just been brilliant, and we're really excited about where that can take us. So technology is a big part of this.
I love my Mill. I'm right there with you. I want to talk about how Compass Group USA is the country's largest family of food service and facility services companies. And I feel like that gives you so much potential, so much opportunity to drive climate action at scale. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, yes, we've gotten big over time. Certainly, we've got scale. With that scale comes responsibility. Again, just as I referenced earlier, we can have a positive or negative impact given our scale, and we know that as we lead, others will follow. And we're just trying to get better every day, to progress in these efforts, food waste, the sustainability efforts, and the wider environment as well. So it's something that we take a lot of pride in. We do utilize our scale for new innovation, whether it's internally generated, things like Waste Not 2.0, or with external partnerships. We partner with a lot of grassroots companies that have great concepts, but are they able to scale to make that wider impact? One of the things we're talking increasingly about as a company is what we call growth at scale. So how do we continue to grow at the rapid rate that we've enjoyed historically, but at the scale we are?
Sure.
It presents challenges across the entirety of the organization. So we need things that can scale. And partnering with those and helping us to innovate is a great way we can do that.
Absolutely. One of the things, Palmer, that I think about a lot is, there's so many great innovations taking place in the food waste prevention space, so many, people working on these issues. But at the end of the day, for a company like Compass, if the food doesn't taste good, all of these sustainability measures are for naught. Can you talk about, how the chefs, you have such great chefs, are really focused on the taste?
It's everything. Ed Brown is here. And Ed Brown is the CEO of Restaurant Associates, just one of our great companies that we have. He says, and I give him full credit for this, no matter what, the food's got to be delicious. It's got to be delicious. Nothing we can do can overcome it if it's not. So it's something we take a great pride in. And we can focus on, and we do focus on a lot of things, how we generate new business, how we retain business, our cost efficiencies, and the like. But central to everything is the offer. You're not going to retain business, you're not going to grow new business if you have a substandard offer. And really, delicious food is at the heart of it. So everything we do has to work in tandem with it. I mean, we can't sacrifice delicious for all these other values that we aspire to.
Yeah, I so agree with that. I want to talk about small and medium scale farmers. They make our food system more resilient, but they can't always produce at the volume needed for larger operators. How can we create systems that allow buyers, like catering companies, to work with these small and medium scale farmers and really help build local economies?
It's really important. When you look back at the history, Amy's talking about her grandmother and the Great Depression and the like. Really, it's the small farmers that have been the anchor of the food system for generations and generations, and it has become an increasingly bigger challenge for them to deal with. Honestly, with companies like ourselves, we have scale needs, quantity, quality, cost pressures, things of that nature that all fold into it. And so it can be difficult. One of the ways where we've tried to help that is a program that we call Grow With Us. And so it's a partnership where we are partnering with local farmers across the country. I think at this point we're operating in something like 20 states with various farmers in those states. We have our chefs collaborate with the farmers on the products, the quantities, and we take them through our procurement processes, which can be daunting and intimidating at times. So it's something that we take a lot of pride in. On a wider level, I think we all have to focus on those aggregation efforts, the ways of working, what we can do together to make this greater impact and allow these small local farmers to thrive the best they can.
Absolutely. It's not just about surviving for small farmers anymore. They have to thrive. So I always want to end these conversations with a call to action, especially on Stop Food Waste Day. What is a call to action you want to leave this audience with?
I think even as individuals, we can make a difference. It doesn't have to be complicated. Don't overthink it. Keep it simple. If we can just focus on doing things every day to progress. Again, don't let perfection get in the way of progress. If each of us does that, and if we partner where we can, we'll have greater impact. There's no doubt about it. If we focus on the food, those inputs that go into it, just focus on taking that one step each day, the impact will be there. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Such great advice. Palmer, what a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So it's clear to me, and I think to all of us in this room, that the long-term sustainability of this movement to end food waste wouldn't be possible without young leaders in our food and agriculture systems. And that's why I'm so excited for our next conversation with two incredible youth change makers. So please join me in welcoming two brilliant students at Providence Day School, Kate Brindley and Eleanor Zhang, who will be interning at the Innovation Barn this summer. Bigger round of applause for these young women. So excited to talk to you both. And thank you for being here. I know you had to skip school, but I'm glad you're here with us. So I'm wondering if you can both start talking about why you wanted to intern with the Innovation Barn and what you're most excited about learning this summer. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I would say that the reason why I wanted to intern with the Innovation Barn was with our school, we are given a few weeks to find an internship. And so it's at the end of your senior year, you do this. And throughout my high school experience, I've spent a lot of time learning about sustainability. And typically, I've spent my time with more the environment side of it and planting trees, but I wanted to be more connected with more everyday life, such as food waste, and I've seen how the Innovation Barn has really taken on more creative approaches to sustainability, and that really piqued my interest, and it worked out, and I'm really excited to intern and just learn a lot and find out the different approaches that the Innovation Barn and Envision Charlotte are taking to sustainability and helping our planet.
That sounds great. Eleanor?
Yeah, so like as Kate said, at our school we have the opportunity to do an internship like wherever we wanted, and I knew I wanted to do something sustainability related, I just wasn't sure what. So I was looking around, and then I contacted one of my friends who actually graduated from our school 2 years ago, and she did her internship at the Innovation Barn. And so I started looking at their website and all the cool, amazing work that they do. And I think what drew me most was all the stuff that they do with recycling. Like they repurpose a bunch of different materials that I didn't even know could be repurposed into things that we can use again. So I just wanted to, that drew me to intern with the Innovation Barn because I wanted to learn not only how these processes like work, but also how I can live more sustainably by like maybe bringing my waste that I didn't think could be recycled to the Innovation Barn.
Oh, that's fantastic. I want to dig in a little bit more about why you both became interested in sustainability in the first place. When were those seeds planted in your childhood?
I would say that through travel and spending time outdoors, seeing the world and hearing that it is a big problem and seeing areas deteriorate because of climate change, I would say just hurt my little kid's heart because I remember being a little kid and playing outside and seeing people instead decide to stay on screens and stay inside. And I think as I saw that happen gradually, I realized that there needs to be a shift and people need to protect the world and that people need to learn about how to protect it and spend time outdoors so they want to protect our earth. And I think that is totally what is happening right now and what the Innovation Barn is doing. And that's where it was for me, and that's what drew me to sustainability in the first place. And since then, my interest has only grown and shifted in different directions.
That's great. Eleanor, what planted that seed for you?
Yeah, for me, I think it started, well, obviously as a kid, as Kate said, but specifically when I was a kid, my parents took us on a bunch of like road trips through national parks. Like they loved going through national parks, and that kind of made me love nature and like the outdoors and being outside. And actually, there's this thing called the Junior Ranger Program, which I don't know if anyone knows what that is. But basically, you go to different national parks and you do these like activities that are like dedicated to protecting the outdoors, and you have to like make a pledge and stuff like that. So from there, it just my kind of love for the nature blossomed naturally into like a passion for sustainability. And then from there, I started like getting more into it at school. Like I joined the sustainability club, and now I lead the sustainability club. So I feel like it was just a very natural path from like loving nature to like wanting to protect nature.
Beautiful stories. So, Eleanor and Kate, what I'm hearing from young people, from youth, is that there's a lot of anxiety around the climate crisis, around, conflict in the world, around other environmental issues beyond the climate crisis. What advice would you give your young counterparts who, are feeling that kind of anxiety but want to do something and don't know how? Eleanor, you want to go first?
Yeah, of course. So I would say start small. Like I would say the biggest thing is doing what like you can at the moment. So a lot of people, when they think of like environmental activism or like doing work in the environmental space, they might like think of the more extreme side of the spectrum, which is like getting arrested for protest and like throwing soup on like a painting or something. But it doesn't have to be that. Like anyone can get involved in any way they can. Like even just at home, you can like start a compost bin, or you can like learn how to waste sort properly and teach all your family and friends. And if you want to get more involved, there's so many really cool organizations that are specifically dedicated to youth, and to like they're run by youth, they're organized by youth, they're led by youth. So you can get involved with that. But even organizations that aren't youth-led, they're all looking for youth perspectives. Like you can get involved with any organization, like a grassroots one, nonprofit, anything. They're all looking for youth perspectives.
Great. Kate?
Yeah, I totally agree with Eleanor. I think with that, learning and in school taking classes that fit the niche that you're wanting to learn. So for me, even though I'm not very good at it, to be honest, I took AP Environmental Science, and that class is one of the most fascinating classes to me, and I can see each person in my class when our teacher is talking about the problems that our world is facing, little light bulbs go off in their brain, and I think that I'm very lucky and have a great teacher and is very interesting, but that can be found anywhere, just learning, doing research, reading books, going outside and taking field trips to with organizations like Eleanor was saying, and learning about the ecosystem where you are. I think that is something that everybody can do with ease in your community to learn more about what's going on in your area and see how you can help your area.
That's fantastic. In the final few minutes we have left, you both are so inspiring and give me a lot of hope just talking to you and seeing how you light up about these issues, your passion for it. Who inspires each of you?
So I would probably say my parents and my brother. Obviously, as I mentioned before, my parents, they instilled at a young age in me like a passion and love for the earth. Through like these road trips, we hiked a lot, even though I hated it at the time, but now I love hiking. And we all the national parks, and also my brother, he is a sophomore in college right now, and he's studying, I think, environmental engineering, or he wants to do something in that sort of realm. And I think it's super cool all that he's doing, and he's like a zero waste intern at his school. He I don't even know, he like helps waste sort, and although like I would say we're both like in sustainability because of my parents, he also inspires me. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great.
Okay, maybe the cop-out answer, but I would say people like everybody here and beyond. I think that this this is happening in Charlotte, but that there are many other places around the world where organizations are doing things maybe not as cool as this, but similar to this, where they're getting people together and trying to instill hope and a drive to help our climate. And I would say that knowing that, you can hear a lot of the bad news in the world about certain animals going extinct, or there's been this much food wasted today, or whatever. There's a lot of bad news, but you can slow down and look at the people that are trying to do good things and make a change. And I think when you look for those sorts of people, I feel hope every time. And I see it around me everywhere. I see it in this room. I see it at my school. I see it in my family as well. I see it in my peers. And I think there's a lot of hope. So I don't have one direct answer.
It was perfect. That was perfect. You were both so great. Thank you for inspiring me. Give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you both so much. Such incredible young women. I want to thank them for being with us. There's so much incredible work being done to end food waste and fight hunger right here in Charlotte. And during this next panel, we're going to talk about what this local leadership looks like. So joining us, we have Kris Steele, the owner of Crown Town Compost. Woo woo! We have Richard Armenia, the executive director of Feeding Charlotte. Kyle Johnson, the executive chef of Community Matters Cafe. Hey, chef. And Alyssa Wilen, the owner and executive chef at Alyssa's Kitchen. Please give her a round of applause. So, Chef Alyssa, I'm going to start with you. You focus on food waste from the eater's perspective. What's working to help people waste less food at home, and how does that creativity get sparked?
Yes, thank you so much for asking that. Well, at Chef Alyssa's Kitchen, we see a variety of folks. We see people who are super interested in cooking, and we see people who are really not interested in it at all. And they all come to us and really get a lot to take away with them. So what I love weaving into teaching people recipes and how to cook is that to leave recipes open-ended, that there's not one way to do something. We lead with that with every class. So it gives people some ideas on what things you can substitute, that you don't have to have a specific ingredient.
Right.
But I also find that when people are coming to us, their questions really are about what else can I do with this ingredient? Or what other recipes could I do? Or are you just gonna throw that away, or what can I do with it?
Yeah.
So a lot of folks leave with, the tops of their carrots, or they might leave with things and they don't realize that with some ingredients, they don't have to necessarily prep them as far as they think, that you can leave the ends on and the peels on, and so they're not just creating waste.
Right.
So with that mindset, they're putting it into what they're already making, and then what else can they do with it? How else can they utilize it? Scraps can become their, stocks and just everything. So we just weave it into all the ingredients. And from the start, we started inside of the Atherton Mill and the farmers market. So it's always been in the forefront of our mind, shop local and show people just ways to store food so it doesn't go bad. But also if you're buying local and it optimally fresh, it's gonna last, and that's eye-opening for a lot of folks. And then the things we do scrap go right underneath the table into a Crown Town bin, and so it becomes a full picture. So I'm very happy that we get to do that.
Yeah, and that creativity is going through the entire system. It's very cool. Richard, I want to turn to you. We're going to hear more about the power of partnerships and collaborations in the next panel, but I'm wondering if you can talk about how Feeding Charlotte is leveraging partnerships and collaboration to really fight hunger and prevent food waste.
Sure, yeah. Everything we do at Feeding Charlotte is kind of built on this idea of collaboration and partnerships. So essentially, we partner with professional kitchens to rescue surplus food and we deliver that food to organizations doing good work in the community. And a lot of that food is moved by volunteers. We have 580 volunteer drivers. So if you look at collaboration from the food donor perspective, it's not just, hey, let's sign you up for a food donor and we pick up once. It's this weekly check-in, hey, how's it going? Do you guys have food this week? We have an ongoing relationship. The same thing with the volunteer drivers. Our volunteer drivers end up creating relationships with the food donors that they pick up from regularly, and then all the way down to the receiving agencies, which are the organizations we deliver to. We have very close relationships with them, so we know what their needs are, how much food they need, how many people they're currently serving. So for us, everything is built on collaboration. We're kind of a no-holds-barred when it comes to partnerships. We work with everyone who's doing good work in the community.
That's great. And one of the groups that you are partnering with is Community Matters Cafe. And so, Chef Chayil, I want you to talk a little bit about that partnership and what it looks like and how you're helping the communities you work with, and I feel like this is such an important point, heal both emotionally and physically.
Yeah, so at Community Matters and our large overall company, the Charlotte Rescue Mission, we work with men and women who are in recovery from addiction and substance abuse. And as a whole, both and on the mission side, where on our men's shelter we house upwards of 164 men, on our women's side around 130. And then Community Matters, where we utilize our full-service restaurant and cafe to train those men and women. We're a complete nonprofit. So in totality, all of it is reliant on everybody else in the community, basically, which is our namesake. So organizations like Feeding Charlotte that help us have those supplies to be able to feed those men and women every day, 3 meals plus a day. A lot of them are coming from either homelessness or from the prison system or anywhere in between that. And so they don't understand, in a lot of cases, the level of taking care of themselves, of like eating actual meals a day, and then they're coming off of years of drug or alcohol abuse or broken systems. So from something as simple as, oh, hey, this group, and we'll always like share with them like what group made the donation. This group donated all these strawberries. This group donated all these chicken leg quarters to you. And then on top of that, we get volunteers in the rescue mission that help make the meals for them, that serve the meals to them. So it's all encompassing with that. And then even on closer to my direct side of working in the cafe, the people that come and hold events with us that I might do catering events for, or that just come in and give also opportunities for our students and residents that come through the program. So giving them that level of care and level of showing their worth when a lot of our students are suffering heavily from, feeling not cared about or being castaways. So when people are intentionally coming to them in a way where they're like, hey, we're giving you this, and this isn't the scraps, right? These are these are things that we want, and we want to give it to you, and to then turn into something beautiful to consume, because what connects people more than good food? And so like the highlight of seeing their face of somebody giving them food, that food being cooked by somebody, then being served to them by somebody, really shows the true level of care that comes from it.
Yeah, cultivating.
I'd love to tag on to that.
Yes, please.
We're really proud of our partnership with the Charlotte Rescue Mission. We actually did kind of a deep dive as an organization last year, and it was really inspired by Tony Marciano, the guy who spent 30 years kind of building the Charlotte Rescue Mission, and his idea of transformation. So we took a deep dive into the organizations we deliver to find out who's doing work that actually turns into transformative work and who's doing more transactional, so we can supply more food to those transformative organizations. And both Rebound and Dove's Nest were at the absolute top of our list. We worked with the company to interview them and rate them, and they were both at the top of the list because when somebody comes into either program, if they're intentional about being an active participant, they will leave a different person.
Yeah.
So we're so excited about that partnership. We delivered $500,000 worth of food to them last year, and our hope is that by doing that, that alleviates some of their food budget to feed 250 people 3 times a day all year round, and they can reallocate that money somewhere else. It's such a great, it's our proudest partnership.
Yeah, that intentionality is so key. Chef Chayil, just turning back to you, you're cultivating care, you're cultivating dignity, and you made the point when we were preparing for this panel that, because organizations like Community Matters Cafe are relying on donations, it doesn't mean it has to be poor quality food. And I think reiterating that point is really important, that it's not just unwanted leftovers. This is beautiful food that can really nourish communities.
Absolutely. And, especially with, we have the actual full-service restaurant, and then we have our kitchens where men and women are living and eating daily. And oftentimes, I have, my produce that I'm getting directly from farmers and different vendors, and then I'm sometimes seeing, what our men and women are getting. I'm like, dang, how do I get those reps? Because it's high-quality ingredients. They're not getting, oh, this stuff is out of date.
Right.
They're getting, top-quality things. And again, I like how you use the word dignity. It's showing the dignity for them. The average age of this, specifically in our program, the average age of the men in our program when they're first introduced to hard drugs or alcohol is about 9 years old, and the average age for the woman is about 7. The average age where they become reliant and full-on addicts for the men is about 14, and for women is about 12. So they're going, and since the year 2000, we've had over 3,000 students come through this program. So if you can imagine, and then the average age of when they come to our program for the woman is 37, for the men it's 42. So this is over 25 plus years of where they're in active addiction or living on the street or have no life skills or no capacity to function on their own without these things, and years of built up trauma. So even something as simple as somebody giving them a meal that cares, to be able to look somebody in the eye and say, hey, I care about you, and we want to give this to you, can mean the world. Change their whole paradigm of how they've survived for decades.
Yeah, and that they deserve it. They deserve to be nourished well. It's beautiful. Kris, I want to turn to you and sort of switch gears a little bit and talk about composting. And it's such an important part of the food waste solution to keep, food out of landfills, but you don't want people to think of compost as the sort of first thing that they do when we're preventing food waste. And I'm wondering how you want eaters to think about sort of the value of surplus food.
Sure. There's a lot of weight in that question. There's a lot of different ways that you can look at that, but reframing waste in general is a big deal for us. When we actually got started 14 years ago, we used to weigh your buckets so we knew how much waste we were collecting from you on an independent household level, which felt good for us, right? But then we actually would tell you how much you sent to us, and then you would give us more. And we were like, wait, we don't want more, right? We want less. We want to be the last stop. We actually are the last stop in all this. We want people to reframe waste overall, right? Meaning that when you go to the grocery store, when you go, and buy food at a restaurant, you're buying less and using it all. That's the ultimate goal. And so that's us trying to reframe what we're doing in general.
And do you feel like your clients, the people you're working with, are understanding that?
I think that it's education. I mean, we think we're all learning through it. But then I think that, on the other side of that, when you do have your food waste then be put to a good product or to a good use, I think there's a win there. And so people still see the brighter side of waste.
Yeah.
It used to be kind of something that you didn't want to see, and now we're actually talking about it and having it in front of us and organizing our way through it. So we're changing as we go. But yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing evolution conversation as we continue.
And it's not really waste, it's valuable.
Sure, and I mean, if you don't know, and we're working to tell the story a little bit better, but we actually take your waste now, we take your literal food waste and we turn it into food. And that's a pretty beautiful thing, because now it's Crowntown Compost, Crowntown Landscapes, and Crowntown Farms all working in a circular economy, thanks to Amy and all that happens here. And we are taking that food and putting it on your table. And so actually actively, you're seeing people walk in today. Ironically, we did not set this up, but in the fridges on the wall, those are CSAs. So community-supported agriculture. Those are clients that have bought into our mission entirely, and they're coming here to pick up the fresh veg that we produced using their food waste.
Fantastic, I love it. Give that a round of applause, that's really cool. Chef Alyssa, if I can come back to you, there are real economic benefits to reducing surplus food. What kind of behavior shift do you see when you highlight the cost savings potential, especially right now when, you know, high food prices are, you know, affecting almost everyone?
Yeah, I find that people, especially with what we do, so we are within our space, we have our cooking classes, and they reach public and they reach private groups, and then we have our catering. And what I find is that people are really trying to take the classes that are going to benefit them the most at home. The maybe not, I shy away from saying quick and healthy weeknight meals or quick things, because that's really all relative and it comes down to just practicing the skills to get faster. But really, the versatility of their products that they're investing in, they see it as dollars. They don't want to see it go away.
Yeah.
So, you know, in investing in what's going to make them really like be able to feed their families in a great way. It's not just the fun of cooking, which it is, and those fun classes are great, but we see a lot of that, and being able to teach people what's really going to benefit them the most at home, I would say, is how we see it economically paying, you know, what people are looking at us for help with.
Yeah, that practicality is essential right now. This is a question for all of you. A lot of the solutions you're working on offer a way for people to really connect with communities while making a dent in food waste. And I'm wondering if you can all talk about that. That community is so important. So Chef Chayil, maybe you go first.
Yeah, so I think one of the first parts is about caring about food waste, is caring about people, because otherwise what are we saving food for? What are we trying to prevent waste for? And, you know, I've loved my time at the cafe for the last 7 years in the Charlotte Rescue Mission, because it's been very eye-opening to me of how an entire group within our community have lived, which is almost a different world. Like, you know, majority of us probably in this room have never experienced, like, being forced to miss a meal in a day, let alone miss a meal 4 days, right? So even coming to them, the concept of waste, right, is about survival. Right, where people with so much access and gain, you know, it's something that we have to intentionally think about of like, oh, I got to try to not waste. Whereas there's whole groups of people who are, you know, not like, it's not try to waste, like what's the most I can make out of this? And so being able to bridge that gap of helping people understand, like, hey, the more we live like this, right, for others, right, they don't have to experience that world of not having waste. There's so much excess in this world, no one should experience that. And so being able to show people how close it really is to you. One of the most powerful things one a resident in our program told me is that we're about 3 degrees from being in their position, and most of it isn't by the decisions that we can make ourselves.
Right. Thank you. Kris, do you want to go next and talk about that community aspect of all this?
Yeah, I mean, again, there's so many different pieces to all of it, but I mean, at the end of the day, we are all in this together. And our companies, you know, inherently our 3 companies all work together, and that is to find a collective vision and a collective space to work together to solve the problems that are in front of us. And we're all always looking for Superman to show up, and Superman's not showing up. Like, it's us, and it's on us, and it's in the daily actions that you take every single step of the way, from the toothpaste that you choose to use, all the way through the food that you eat, the clothes you buy. Everything that you can do is a choice, and that is a collective choice. And so bringing people together to do that together creates collective action.
Absolutely. Richard?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, community is really important to Feeding Charlotte and myself. Obviously, we have 580 volunteer food rescue drivers, some of which are in the audience today. So it really takes a large group, but also when you boil down community, you can boil it down to one person, right? Like, I think the best case scenario is on an individual level, we don't waste, and this kind of tags on to what Kris is saying. Like, if you make, you know, the best choices possible when you go to the store or when you buy something, you could eliminate a lot of food waste individually. So we have a large group that really drives Feeding Charlotte. We're largely volunteer driven. We have 3 staff members. So community is important to us, but also if you boil that community down to each individual, I think our organization helps educate people on, as an individual, you can make a difference
Yeah.
in this way.
That's great. Chef Alyssa?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind with community is that we're gearing up for summer camp. We're gearing up for kids. We're gearing up for them coming into the space. They've come in and taken classes and getting to see and just use ingredients that they have never worked with before, put their eyes on what kinds of foods they want to make for their families. And starting there is a really important thing. It's one of the most rewarding parts of our business and
Sure.
And what all of us get to take part in. So from trimming something off the grow towers to being able to like cook with something, and if they don't want to eat it themselves, they're going to take it home and share it. So, you know, and then just overall getting to work with so many other businesses in Charlotte. I think food is such a way to collaborate with people. We work with businesses outside of food and within, and just, you know, I love that I get to be working with customers and turning them on to certain things that they wouldn't use, and then in turn get to connect with other companies. So.
What a great point to end on. Food is a powerful way to collaborate. Please give these panelists a round of applause. Thank you all so much for your work. Thank you. So in our next conversation, we're going to stay on this theme of collaboration and partnerships that are fundamental to food and agriculture systems transformation. So I'd like to welcome Riley Nelson, the head of sustainability at NASCAR. Give her a round of applause. Sam Kass is a partner at Acre Venture Partners. He's a chef, he's an author, and the former senior policy advisor for nutrition at the Obama administration. Eliza Blanc is the CEO of Farmlink. Give her a round of applause. And Michiel Bakker is the president at the Culinary Institute of America. Welcome to you all. Big round of applause. Sam, we do this all the time, so you know I'm going to start with you. And we've been talking about food waste for as long as I've known you, I feel like.
Pretty much.
I'm wondering if you can give us a sense of where we are today and what's holding us back.
Yeah. First of all, hi everybody. How you guys doing? Good. I'm psyched to be here as always. I mean, first let me just say, we're here because of a very special group of people leading this company that's really supported this work for a long time, starting at the top with Palmer, Claire, CIB, Ed. The leadership in this company is really special, both from just a values and capacity and expertise standpoint, but they're just good human beings.
Yeah.
And on this work, led by just an absolute force of nature who we owe a great debt of gratitude to. Amy Keister's just been an unbelievable force on this issue, so we should please give her a huge round of applause. You know, I think we're making, in many ways, more progress on this issue than many others that we have been working on for a long, long time. I mean, we're actually starting to see real numbers move.
Yeah.
In ways that, and these issues are hard. They're hard fights and hard to come by. And I think they're hard fights and hard to come by because so many of these issues, and this one especially, are deeply rooted in our culture. They're deeply rooted in our value system. And I think the only explanation for how we can waste so much food is because, you know, as a culture, I think we have not placed the value on our food, on how it's produced, on the impact on our bodies, on our impact on the planet. And that's led us to a situation where we're producing way more calories than we need to start. And we're a very wealthy society in general. And we have a relationship where it's sort of like, you know, okay, just throw it away, we can get some more.
Yeah.
And I think changing that value system is the hard work.
Yeah.
And I think you started to see it, and I've witnessed it firsthand at Compass. And just even starting to measure how much waste was happening was a transformational moment in this effort. Because all of a sudden, you measure what what matters. You measure what. It's a real symbol of like, I care about this. We're going to start tracking this. And, I think when Refed came out, but it's like 15 years ago now or something, right? The first report on this, we start to actually look at these things, and I think we can see, okay, we have a real cultural values problem here, and we have to start doing some work. So I think we have a long way to go, obviously, to shift our culture to put our food as sort of center to like life on planet Earth and a healthy, thriving life as individuals. But we're starting to see some real green shoots. But I don't think we're going to get to where we need to be unless we understand truly like what it takes to have a plate of food end up in front of you.
Yeah.
It is an incredibly precious, complicated set of factors that enable that to happen. From a biological standpoint, from a grower putting in all the work to produce it, somebody's driving it, somebody's processing it, somebody's cooking it with love, hopefully, definitely in this room for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes, and then parents, like I talk to my kids all the time, like, do you know what it took for me to get that meal in front of you right now? And yeah, exactly, I'm there. So I think making sure we keep that front and center is going to be fundamental to getting this kind of change at bigger and bigger scale.
Yeah, absolutely. Riley, I want to turn to you because when we last spoke, you told me this great story about how NASCAR has evolved to include food waste in your sustainability goals. And I want you to share that journey because it's so interesting.
Hi, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here. NASCAR, motorsports, maybe not necessarily intuitive with food, so this is the anomaly in the room potentially, but we are an events company. We throw major events. We have Super Bowl-sized events every single weekend across the country. With that comes a lot of food and a lot of leftovers. Levy is our concessionaire across our owned tracks. We have 15 owned tracks across the country. They're a fantastic partner. And they've always implemented donation as a first step. And so we've been donating across community partners for several years now. There's about 13,000 pounds of food last year that were taken, packaged, and then brought to local communities, or our local communities. But a couple of years ago, Mary McCarthy in the back there, VP of Sustainability for Levy, she came to Phoenix. It was her first NASCAR race, and we had dinner. And, yep, shout out Mary. And we had a conversation of how can we help each other? What are you working on? What are you working on? What's the next step within this food journey? And we had never tried Compost as a company, at least to my knowledge. And so we thought, why not? Let's try it. And of course, we picked the easiest track, Daytona. Let's start, with the small one. And it ended up being great because little did we know at the time, Daytona was actually having challenges within the loading dock area where we go through so much waste as a whole that it was actually getting very smelly in that specific area. And so the operations team was very receptive to this idea because it became not something that was sustainability driven at all, but actually enhanced the workplace and made people feel happier about being in the loading dock and being underneath the grandstands. And so this pilot ended up being a great success because then they talked to their peers at other tracks, and this slowly got grown and brought to other tracks and other tracks until we got connected to Denali, and they are now our Compost partner, and fantastic Thomas and Layla are here as well. And now we have scaled this to all NASCAR-owned tracks, and we composted over 70,000 pounds of food last year.
Amazing. Congratulations. And it really shows how you're solving multiple problems, especially when we're looking at solving food waste. Eliza, I want to turn to you because Farmlink works with policymakers and really helps the organization scale its reach. And I'm wondering how you think about making those collaborations with policymakers.
Oh, great question. Well, for those of you who don't know Farmlink, it was effectively started as a grassroots movement by a bunch of college kids during COVID. And so, in fact, seeing Kate and Eleanor up here was so wonderful because it really reminds me of the team that I have. The solution that they brought into the world, if you will, was to move surplus produce at scale into the charitable food system. What they saw during COVID was the hospitality sector shutting down and all this food unfortunately going to waste, especially at the farm level. Farmers were forced effectively to plow under their crops. And what I liked about what Sam was saying was, the students here at Farmlink were like, well, that's just the dumbest problem. Point blank, we have all of these people in need and we have all of this surplus food. We're just going to pick up the phone and make some calls. And that's exactly what they did. And now fast forward to 2026, we move about 100 full truckloads a week about 150 million pounds last year. And I think what we've recognized throughout those years is that it can't just be about moving the food. It really takes systems level change because we can move food all day long. That's just a logistics problem. That's what makes it transactional. But working with policymakers is what's going to make this actually stick. And so the vision that we have for the world is where, at the very least, some of these routing lanes, if you will, become automatic. And we've seen this in other ways. We've seen how it can transform recycling. We've seen how cities have adopted composting. There needs to be partnership and solutions being brought to government around this level of food waste because it's astronomical, the scale and the scope.
And do you see more action at the federal level or at the state level or local municipality level?
Well, Farmlink has had a lot of success actually connecting state and federal governments together to work together. And we've seen that be the most efficient and effective, but policy takes time. And we're only 6 years old, and so we have a head of policy who is quite literally in the field, oftentimes advocating for farmers and then connecting their stories to government officials. And so we have done some incredible rescues. 2 years ago, we did an enormous apple rescue in West Virginia. That was precisely the relationship that I just mentioned. It was between the government and the federal levels to harvest, millions and millions, tens of millions of pounds, and those apples went to 27 different states and over 200 communities. And that's the type of work that we want to be putting into motion all the time, because this type of surplus is happening at every single commodity, every single day in our country.
Yeah, thanks, and it's such a great example. Michael, I want to turn to you. You're a man of many hats, my friend, and one of your hats is being part of the board of ReFed, which I mentioned before. It's a nonprofit that's driving solutions to reduce food waste in the United States. And I'm wondering where you see the greatest opportunities to reduce food waste, and then how can the data that ReFed is so good at compiling help drive that action in food service, especially on campuses like the Culinary Institute of America?
So first and foremost, I want to congratulate you of just showing up. That is the beginning of affecting change. So the fact that you are here is a clear indication that you're committed to the cause, and that I'm positively sure that you're doing your part in addressing the broader system. What I love about ReFed is ReFed ultimately is an organization that is gathering all the solutions that are already known. Because for many of us change makers, we think that when we get started, that it's the first time we get to think about the problem. And I can guarantee that almost anything that we're looking for has already been solved for by somebody. So it's not necessarily a solutions challenge. It's actually figuring out from where you can find that solution and how quickly you can apply it. So ReFed has done extraordinary work over the years in gathering all those solutions and said, we're going to make that available for everybody. So no matter where you're at, whatever your role or your organization is, here are 15 solutions that you can get going with tomorrow. So I think the broadest opportunity is a really interesting question, because it depends on where you sit in the broader food system. If you're a local farmer, your opportunity is different than if you work for Walmart. And that therefore, I will almost say it depends. That's one of my favorite answers. But what I believe is that we should do more of, first and foremost, we should celebrate the progress we are making. There's still so much to be done, but at the same time, as Sam said as well, we've made so much progress over the years as well. And unless you celebrate, it feels that you're always just trying to get somewhere, but you never get there. But if you're ultimately a party goer and say, I was there 2 years ago, let's see where we're at as of today, you actually get energy from all the stuff that you have accomplished. Where I think we can make the biggest difference is really to think through, is it that you want to take credit for the progress you are making, or ultimately you want to be an enabler? And that brings to my organization. So I now lead the first CIA in the United States, not the other one. So the Culinary Institute of America was the first organization out there. So I get now to work with 4,000 students at 4 campuses all over the world. And it's no longer about from what can I do in my own organization, but I see my role and the role of faculty and staff at the Sea Haven. How can we inspire and most importantly enable the next generation of culinary leaders to do what they believe is the right thing? I'm not going to tell them what they need to do, but what I want them to pick up on while they're with us is what I would call conscious culinary leadership. Think about the impact you're going to make with the decision you will make when you're in a professional role. And no matter in what organization or in what state you work, whether you work in a blue state or in a red state, be aware of the impact you will make, both negatively, but more importantly, positively.
Yeah.
And then I think we need to work together and celebrate what is being done by all of us. And not necessarily be the critic on the side and say, that's cute, but. But it's all my life fun. Let's just celebrate and party of all the stuff that is being done by these organizations and think through, how can I help this individual, this organization to make more impact?
It's such a great reframe to think about the celebrations and not, what we haven't done yet. Thank you for that. I want to ask you all, and switch gears a little bit, because waste is such an unappealing term, and it does sort of bring people down. And, semantics in this issue really matter. How can we reframe this issue to focus more, on those celebrations, to focus more on the value that's in surplus food and food scraps? And what do you think will move the needle on that? So, Sam, turning to you first.
I think first it's just good to level set on the fact that this is a very rare issue where everybody benefits if we solve this problem. There's no winners or losers. There's no food waste lobby who's trying to advocate for more food waste, right? It's like we feed more people who need food. For a business, it just is, it's margin. It's just straight margin. It's better efficiency. More money if you're at home. You're wasting an average family is wasting $2,000 a year on food, which is insane. So this is just a win-win-win. And for the first time, I realized it's also a less smelly place. And so there's even more benefits. Every time we talk about this, we find more benefits for solving this problem. And so I think it's important to remember that this is a hardcore economic and feeding more people story, depending on where the food goes. Sure. And so it's a great one to take on because there's nobody fighting us to try. Every other thing I work on, there's some group out there fighting you on it. After time in DC or even on the business side. And so remembering and telling the story about not just because it's bad to waste food, which it is, and that's all of our parents told us that, and I tell my kids that, but we don't have to rely on that argument. It's this just is rational. It is insane what we're doing. It is we're just wasting our resources. Right. And particularly in this context, it's making those arguments are going to really move the needle. And we don't have to worry about heartstrings to do that. Mm-hmm. Could it use a rebrand? Sure, like most stuff in our world, could use a little polish. But I think we have to remember that anything that's being wasted was once perfect. Any pepper that's now in the bottom of my fridge, and I will own that, I am far from perfect here. We all are, right? And it does affect us emotionally. But any pepper that's starting to get wrinkled down there was once a perfect pepper. Yeah. It just been sitting out there for a little too long. Sure. And so there's nothing waste. It's not waste. It's beautiful. And it's just sort of lasting too long. And I think we have to remember that none of this is bad. I'm not sure we can do a little workshop on a better word. I don't have the word off the top of my head, but I think it is an important reframe.
I do too. Riley?
Yeah, so I'm looking at Thomas from Denali as I'm saying this because he trained us, and the Denali team trained us never to use the phrase food waste. Yeah. We released our first impact report this winter. We have an entire spread on food, no pun intended there. You will not see food waste at all on that page. It's food recycling, it's framing it as a resource, and so we believe, and this is what they taught us, if you lump those two words together, inherently people are going to associate or assume that it's waste, and then just make that connection waste. And that's then been able to reframe the conversation of if this is something as a resource, it needs to be protected, it needs to be diverted, it needs to not end up in the landfill. There are other ways that this can be protected. And you will see that across our tracks. The Levy team and the chef teams have been really creative in how they're educating their own employees, where they'll have handmade signs and hand-drawn signs. One will say, food only, we'll go dumpster diving seriously. That type of just to take it seriously. This is something that we're taking seriously as a company, as a team, because it's no longer waste. It's a resource that can continue to be in circularity.
That's great. Michael?
So I would actually start with a reframe, because waste in itself is the end of the food chain. So for me, it's really about resource utilization, optimization, and to think through how much further up the food chain can we go to make much more impact up front. Because to me, it's not just ultimately if you use food waste as a term or not, but you're wasting human labor, you're wasting utilities, you're paying for hauling stuff to the waste dump as well. So as a business, it's really about how can you make sure that you actually get the most out of the resources you put in ultimately producing what you want to do. So that's really where it starts. And then the last one I would just say, just to tease us out a little bit, you know, there are people who are truly benefiting from what we buy. So what happens when we buy less in the season in itself? So we might ultimately waste less at home or at a work site, but it has been produced. We're just shifting then the problem to the next tier in that food chain. So in order to solve the problem, I think systemically, you really have to think about the system overall and to think through how can you ultimately plan better so we produce less and there's less inefficiency in the overall system.
Great advice there. Eliza, you get the last word. We're almost out of time.
Great, I see that. I mean, at Farmlink, we exclusively talk about moving America's abundance, because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
And just to echo what was just said, it's not waste. We're moving perfectly good food that's actually at peak freshness, really, because it's coming off the farms in many cases, or it's not even getting to a retail store. We are actually avoiding waste in many ways, but we don't talk about waste. And to go back to what Sam was saying, I think what I love about Farmlink and what I love about this team is how optimistic they are, because as someone who loves to solve problems, there are so many solutions. All I see are solutions. I don't actually see problems. I just see so many opportunities to redirect all of this abundance. And so that's really what brought me to Farmlink and why I'm so excited to be doing this work.
What a beautiful point to end on. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you all so much. Thanks. In our next conversation, we get to talk about how we can rethink food waste in the food service industry. For this panel, I'm excited to sit down with Harry Tannenbaum, the co-founder and president of Mill. Please give him a round of applause. And Chef Kris Ivens-Brown, the chief culinary officer at Compost Group. Give him a round of applause.
Hi.
Hey, gentlemen. So nice to see you both. I love these conversations. I want to start off because you both have this really great meet cute story of how you decided to meet one another and work together. Can you tell your origin story?
Do you remember where we met?
So I do.
I remember it.
It was a very special day. No technology and culinary on the same stage together. Only here, people. This is it.
It was at this event a year ago, which is actually a pretty good marker. That's where we first met.
1 year.
I hadn't had really a chance to talk with Kris, and then we sat down on stage, and I think, Danny, you went to Kris first, and you said, Kris, what is the most important thing about preventing food waste? And he said, dehydration. And I thought, God, I got to get to know this guy.
Soulmates.
So 10 years ago when we started this journey at Compost, Amy and the team, ironically, I actually did a big demonstration and a booklet on dehydration. And, at the end of the day, the water and moisture is the first thing that goes off in food. So it's getting that moisture out. If you go back to the Incas and Native Americans, jerky, that's how it's created. Mm-hmm. They dry the meat out, the same as Scandinavians. They take salt and put their fish in and pour the moisture out. So through all of my career, removing that moisture and getting that moisture out. So ironically, 10 years later, I saw this and I was like, this is amazing from a culinary standpoint. That not only is the machine amazing, and this is the home unit. And I looked at him and I said, can you commercialize this? Because this could be the closed loop that we've been looking for. we do so much great work with Waste Not and Waste Not 2.0,
Sure.
but closing that loop and dehydrating the food waste was just genius, and he said he could commercialize it.
Yeah, I quickly said yes.
So yeah, it really is an amazing thing. I mean, and actually, I have a home unit, and I go out and I actually give it to my mother-in-law, and we put it in our yard and stuff. But it's like a closed loop. Our waste has gone down our trash cans. Incredible. It's just recycling now.
I'll explain what mill is, but as we were working through our partnership, at one point, Kris texted me. He said, "We need to speak." That was the text I got from Chef Kris. And I thought, oh my goodness, is something going wrong with our strategic conversation? And I picked up the phone. He said, "I need some more bags from you to get the grounds from my mill to my mother-in-law." And I was like, okay, I'm on that.
That's what we need.
Please explain mill a little bit so everyone understands.
Yeah, so just for a little bit of background, we're a team of people that make stuff. So the core of our team, we made iPods and iPhones. We built the products at Nest, thermostats, smoke alarms, and we're really good at integrating technology. And I think to use Nest as an example, this is a piece of distributed infrastructure that is a delightful thing to use. And the word delight and thermostat didn't really historically go together.
No.
And we're genuinely trying to make the word delight and preventing food waste go together in the same sentence. And what we look at when we look at the challenge of food waste is it's an infrastructure problem and it's a data problem. As was just mentioned, food's 80% water. It's wet, it's heavy, it's putrescible. If you have excess food, you're sort of racing the clock to get it to the right place. When you take water out of that material, you sort of stop the clock on digestion and actually make something that looks like coffee grounds and smells like spices and has like a really quite nice terroir, I would say.
Yeah, there's zero odor. I was worried about that because you can put anything in there. I mean, fish bones, you can put anything in there. There's no smell.
So we make infrastructure that dehydrates food, that keeps it as a resource, and you can use it as food still. Feed chickens, create energy, feed soil. On the other side of it, on the data side of it, when you look at how food waste is described, it's described in tons. Big, bulky bricks of vegetative waste, proteins, grain, etc. And what's really interesting now with distributed infrastructure, we can get down to item level precision. So together, what we're making is a larger scale unit that, yes, can dehydrate food to keep that material in the food system, but also in real time with a highly accurate camera, classify exactly what is being tossed. And being able to understand, okay, that's a watermelon rind, but with 3 centimeters of flesh on the rind, or that's a bushel of bananas that could have been donated. That higher granularity information becomes actionable much more quickly. So what we're really thinking about and the way we think about solving this problem is this combination of new infrastructure and then better information.
And that collaboration, which has been the theme of the day. And I think, what you're trying to do is really leverage those opportunities for collaboration and find new partners. What does that look like for both of you when you're sort of seeking out the partnerships that will work?
I mean, for us, we have, a massive portfolio of clients from business and industry to healthcare, through education, sports and entertainment, and, all those clients, there's a lot of those clients are looking for that final mile from a food waste standpoint. It's important to so many clients. So discovering this is a big win, and we can partner to work together with our clients and bringing this to them to help in their environment. Because at the end of the day, when I go back, when I was training, my chef tipped trash cans over to find what was in there. It was his money.
Right.
It was all, food waste was driven on money.
Yeah.
It's like, we're throwing money in the trash can. We're throwing money, still throwing money in the trash can, but it's now the right thing to do for our environment as well. So, this final mile, to be able to deliver this to all of our clients, campus-wide, is such a big win. And that's why we partner with, the technology that this has. There are other dehydrators out there. I mean, there's home use ones. Anyone at home, you can go get one of these mills, are amazing. But dehydrate and the technology that these guys have and that data that we're missing today is going to be basically the end solution.
Yeah.
I think plus one to that, and we really do think about this as a design partnership. The way we ultimately change the system, Palmer mentioned this at the top, to have systems change, we need new systems that are better, faster, and cheaper. And the wonderful thing about working on waste elimination is when we eliminate waste from systems, they become more efficient. But at a site-by-site level, a client-by-client level, this needs to make sense from P&L perspective, you know, and unlocking that unlocks the environmental impact. And really for us, that's being able to exist in this umbrella of a strategic partnership where we can get really close to clients, understand that everybody is going to have slightly different needs, and in a world of AI, you're not just building one version of software and throwing that over the fence to everyone. Everyone can have a bit of a bespoke experience that really is tailored to the information that is most actionable for them. So, you know, part of this partnership is really being able to design and build together. And then I think another foundational part of this partnership is just that the two companies are so value aligned.
Yep.
I think about working with Claire and Amy in bringing this to life, and it's such a helpful thing when you're pointed in the same direction at the same North Star. And I think to, you know, entrepreneurs in the audience, when you can find another company that, you know, in general is facing in the same direction as you, it's so much easier to row forward quickly. And we've done this in a year.
We've done it in a year. And I've already even talked to clients who are really excited about it. The press release went out, I think today, yesterday. You know, I've had notes, emails, texts, this is awesome, this is amazing. You know, so the excitement's out there for this solution that we've been missing. I mean, we've done a great job with Waste Not 2.0. We've been tracking it, we've been managing it, but this final piece is the missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle. So we're so excited from a culinary standpoint. We presented to all the culinary leaders of Compass Group. They were pumped and jazzed about it. So it's, again, that solution that we've been missing for a long time.
I think the way we think about designing products as well is they need to be frictionless. And I'll just speak about myself. Like, I'm a fundamentally lazy person. And like, you know, it's easy to talk about behavior change, but to actually make behavior change happen, one of our residential mill units is there, it didn't need to look like a trash can. But if you make it look like a trash can, you know, people know how to use that thing. So, you know, we challenge ourselves as we think about every single touch point. Chefs are busy in the kitchen, you know, and there isn't time to notate down what everything is. You need to make the camera good enough that it just sees it. And there isn't enough time to think about when you're running a cycle or not. It just needs to do that. So we challenge ourselves to be so easily adoptable that you don't even have to think about it.
There's also a safety piece to this. When you're dehydrating, you're pulling that moisture out of the food through the mill. You know, we have food waste that goes into bags. People are lifting these bags and doing themselves injuries. So we have to look out for our associates as well. So this is another solution, another benefit from this, as well as the safety aspect to it. Because we talked about the design of the new one, the industrial one. It's like, okay, well, how are the grounds going to be lifted out? Do it this way? Do they come through the bottom? Is it mobile? What's the machine made of? Is it lightweight or is it heavy? Because you know, the industrial kitchens, they're workhorse kitchens, and we're putting some serious food out across the company. So, and all of this is being listened to and heard from this team, which is great.
Yeah, what a great partnership. And, you know, one of the things that I like about the work that you're doing, others can replicate it across the country, across the world. What advice do you have to, you know, other chefs and other companies who are working on these issues in different ways, but, you know, aren't always having the kinds of partnerships that you both have?
I mean, I think from like from an entrepreneurial standpoint, there is something that's really helpful around coming at problems from the outside. Like, I kind of got the idea for the company because the pandemic hit, and I was like sitting in my kitchen watching my garbage can fill up. I'm not like a trained waste professional or an expert on food waste. And I was thinking about the students who were speaking earlier, and there's something very powerful that happens when you come at a big problem, not necessarily with all the context underneath it, because you can look at it in a very first principles way. Okay, how should this work? Well, ideally, if we have food that isn't eaten, well, first of all, it doesn't get wasted in the first place, but next best would be to feed an animal. You know, because, okay, yeah, we can take food, and composting is great and has inspired us, but then feed soil, grow grain, feed a chicken, make an egg, feed a person. Why don't we just take the food, feed a chicken, make an egg? Now, if you knew how freaking hard that would be, you probably wouldn't do it. But because you're a naive, bright-eyed entrepreneur that doesn't know all the hard stuff, you can kind of look at things with these wide eyes. And then a couple years later, your hair has receded because of it, but you've sort of figured something out. And I think you've been a little bit blessed with the unknowingness of these challenges in these spaces. And then I think from a partnership standpoint, it's important to also not feel like you need to have the answer to everything, like true partners, true strategic collaborators. And I think this is a magical thing about Compass. They can kind of manifest the future, not just with their scale, but with the speed and desire to innovate. Coming to those conversations open-hearted and vulnerable, saying, yeah, actually, what is the right way to do this? Yeah. And I think you'd be surprised how many people will say, oh, actually, this is the right way, versus, oh, I can't believe you didn't know that. I don't trust you anymore.
Yeah. We like to be humbly the leaders in everything we do. And we like to share as well. Something like this kind of partnership, we're ongoingly looking for solutions, especially from a sustainability standpoint. Being the world's largest food service company, it's our obligation. We should be leading and we should be setting the example and helping others, and we'll share that. So this kind of partnership is leading the way, and hopefully we know it's going to be very successful. And again, we're bringing it back to our clients. We feed millions of people a day, not only in North America, across the globe. And these kinds of, I'm looking at some of our clients right now here. It's so important to them and their guests and their associates. So we'll share, but we like to be the leaders in it.
Sure, absolutely. We only have a few minutes left, and Chef Kris, I want to give you a chance to talk about the menu folks will be eating, because I know you have a heart out.
Oh yeah, we got to feed you. You did get you all down here not to feed you some food. So we're doing a few hors d'oeuvres after this, as you can mingle. 5 hors d'oeuvres. The first one, we're doing a patty puri, crisp fried dough, which is from Indian street food. And we've rehydrated it because it was dried. And so we had, believe it or not, we had to add water to it, poof, and then fry it. We've done a roasted chicken with tomato and tarragon dressing served inside of that petit puri. I've done a Maryland crab cake, which is the recipe still at Bank of America today, I hope, from 30 years ago, on a Bellini. And then we've done a black garlic and mushroom bone broth or broth with a fable. We partnered with Fable, which is a shiitake mushroom. So this is all vegan. Meatball and a little vermicelli. Then I did a pimento cheese deviled egg with the honey from here, from the beehives here. We've drizzled that on applewood smoked bacon. So you've got the bacon and the honey and the pimento cheese. Yum. And the last one is, so I came up with this years ago, but actually found it somewhere like this to actually serve this. I mean, I've served it before, and it's called a dry shot. There's no liquor in it, but it's dry. And so I dehydrated, literally a niçoise salad. So dehydrated breadcrumbs, red pepper, olives, capers, oregano, and then mixed it all together, and you'll get it in like a cornucopia, and you shoot it, and then you are naturally rehydrated in your mouth. So you should get a, you do.
We'll report back next year.
A niçoise style salad in your mouth. So again, having fun with dehydration. I mean, even at home, it's a simple thing that you can do. Orange peel. Peel the orange, don't throw it in the trash can. Low oven, get a mill, buy a dehydrator. You can make orange powder, olive powder. Those grapes that are getting shriveled up, dehydrate them. It's the best sultana you're ever gonna eat if you dehydrate that grape. Olives, I can go on and on. The red peppers that Sam was talking about. So just the little thing you can do at home, trust me, do that one.
To Sam's point, if everybody cooked like Chef Kris, I don't think we'd have a lot of food waste.
So true, so true. Thank you both so much. Thank you. Thank you. And we can't wait for the reception, but we have one more conversation left. What an incredible afternoon. With this final conversation, we're going to reflect on all of the amazing solutions we've heard about today. But please, again, make sure that you don't leave before the reception. You heard Chef Kris talk about all the delicious food. So to help us close things out, please join me in welcoming Amy Aussieker, the Executive Director of Envision Charlotte. She's a hero. so nice to see you. Thank you for hosting us. What an incredible day. And I want to ask you, what stood out for you from today's conversations?
You know, I think the biggest thing is the collaborations. Like, everyone was like, well, I work with this person, and I work with this person. All of us together can collectively make such a difference.
Yeah.
So I think the collaborations are, well, it's my favorite part of my job, too.
Yeah, absolutely. It stood out for me, too. I wonder, you know, it's a simple question, but what gives you hope when, you know, the work you're doing here to build a more circular economy, what gives you hope that that will actually, you know, come to fruition?
So when we opened this barn, actually the barn, Innovation Barn, 5 years ago, the first thing that happened were so many people were coming and they wanted to see what was going on that all we did for the first 2 months was give tours. Like every day, all day tours to people because they were so excited to see what does this mean, what is the circular economy, what can I do?
Right.
That we had to hire Erica, who's over there, as our people manager, just to manage the tours and the interest we had.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that gives me hope.
Yeah.
And then when people walk through, one of the biggest, I always say, if there's one thing you can learn before you leave here, is that food that goes into your trash bag, into the landfill, does not break down, it does not compost. And people go, what?
Yeah.
I thought it was fine.
Sure.
And you know, and then we talk about that it off-gases methane, contributing to climate change.
Right.
And so just the education that people start thinking differently, I think has been a big change in Charlotte.
That's so hopeful. I want to give you a chance to give this audience a call to action, something to do. They've heard so much great information. What do you want them to do when they leave here?
Reduce food waste.
How?
I mean, kind of on brand. Well, so a couple of the things that we always talk about, I mean, obviously there's some great solutions here, composting, but I don't go to the grocery store hungry anymore. You know, you overbuy when you're hungry, and then a lot goes to the landfill. So there are these tiny little steps that you can make to reduce the food waste. And one of the things Canteen does here is they talk a lot about how they reduce food waste in their prepping. You know, cutting the end of the carrot much smaller.
Sure.
Just tiny little things, but if you collectively add that up to all the people, it makes a big difference. So, reducing food waste.
I love it.
And nobody paid me to say that.
I'm so glad to have met you and collaborated on this event with you. I'm going to ask you to stay on stage for another moment and I invite Amy Keister back up to the stage. Give her a round of applause, please. So what I have loved about Stop Food Waste Day is obviously celebrating the food waste warriors, driving real change and building a more circular, regenerative food system. And we have one more leader to recognize. This leader brought 20 cities to Charlotte with the White House for a Smart City boot camp, launched the Crush Truck, and helped lead Charlotte's transition to a circular economy through the Innovation Barn. Do you recognize this person?
Do you see the gray hair? Yeah, I kind of do.
So this is you, Amy. And Food Tank and Compass are so inspired by your leadership, and we can't think of anyone more deserving than the 2026, I'm getting emotional, Waste Warrior Award. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh.
So excited for you. Thank you for
you.
all of your work.
Yeah,
Incredible.
thank you.
So I also want to give another round of applause to Amy Keister, Natalie Walker, and Jesse Hocker. They are incredible. A big round of applause for all the speakers that you heard from today. What incredible experts. Another big thanks to our partners at Compass Group and Envision Charlotte. Give them another round of applause. A huge thanks to The Bulb, Adrena Farms, Change Please, 100 Gardens, Countdown, Ecologic All, Potions and Pixels for supporting the event and for providing delicious food to the reception. Give them a round of applause. My wonderful and amazing and talented Food Tank colleagues, Elena Seeley and Kenzie Aussieker, please give them a round of applause. And everyone who is watching online, thank you so much for sticking with us. And thank you all for being here. It was so nice to see this room full and crowded. Thank you also all for being here. Give yourselves a round of applause. And And I want to thank our production team, Mode, that always puts on these events flawlessly. Give them a round of applause. All right, everyone, you heard about the delicious food you'll be eating at the reception from Chef Kris, so please enjoy. Thank you.